Welcome to a new episode with ideas and insights. Find the strategies, tactics, and tools for your success in your initiative, project, and campaign. You are listening to the IdeaCast with your host, Tom Wittig. Hello and welcome back again. Today I want to continue our mini-series about Pinterest for business and Pinterest marketing strategies and tactics. The topic today will be about the Pinterest case study, the marketing case study that we prepared. This will be a short podcast as always, and there is actually a longer version as a video on our YouTube channel, which you can also see on the blog post. I will include the link to the blog post in the show notes so you can check it out there. Also on the blog post there is the presentation slide deck and some more material for you to check out. Okay, so the starting point was a client project from our digital marketing agency, WITTIGONIA Digital. And we were asked to help this client to prepare and conduct a marketing campaign for an event series they had been planning. The client is a regionally well-known and meanwhile well-established brand in the healthy nutrition and food service industry and health industry. And we have been working with the client now for quite some time on their website and to bring them up in the rankings with their website. But for this particular event series, the client was looking at a special series of some workshop style events. And so that was an interesting challenge for us. And in the beginning, we discussed a little bit about the marketing mix, the digital marketing mix, which platforms, creatives, and so on. And one of the discussion was about Pinterest. I have to admit at that time I wasn't so convinced that Pinterest would be a good platform for this. But after a closer look, we decided to give it a go. And that was also the starting point at that time for some more work that we did on Pinterest in terms of marketing campaigns, awareness campaigns, conversion-oriented campaigns. But really the interesting part was after looking at some of the audience insights and statistics, we were cautiously optimistic that we would find an interesting audience. We know Pinterest quite well, and we know that this audience is looking for inspiration. It's a doing audience, so they like to take action based on the inspiration and ideas. And so we thought, why not give it a try and do an experimental campaign? And if that works out, we can go all in with the campaign and drive more volume, more traffic, and more conversions on the website. So that was an interesting starting point. As always, when you start these certain, let's say, new platforms, it's always a question if you find the audience, if you find enough volume and search inventory, but also if you find the quality of the audience, and most importantly, if you can conduct campaigns with a reasonable efficiency and return on investment. Basically, the way that we did this is first we started let's say broad awareness campaign to reach an audience, and the purpose was to build up an audience fairly quickly. The client did not have a presence on Pinterest, at least not something that we could work with, but they had a wealth of interesting content with interesting information. And related to this event series, we found also some interesting content that we enriched with schema data. And schema data is quite important in Pinterest because Pinterest, if you implement the schema correctly and validate it correctly, then Pinterest can automatically pull the structured information in the pin and create a so-called rich pin. So that was one of the key tactics there on the content side. Again, back to the campaign side, we started with a broad awareness campaign to prep an audience, basically, so-called priming the pump, if you want, followed by a traffic-oriented campaign, so that the purpose was to lead more traffic to the web page and the landing page. And then we followed up with a conversion-oriented campaign. And the timing here is also important. There was a little bit time between these campaigns. Let's say they were staggered over time. So the conversion started really when we were able to build up a significant audience during the time. I was actually very surprised. After 2 weeks, we had a total audience of about 130,000 unique viewers. And of those, about 2,500 were interacting with our content. Now, the reason why I was surprised, first of all, the sheer number, and we were operating with a very limited budget because it was an experimental campaign, a discovery campaign for us. But more importantly, it was a locally focused campaign. So it was not a broad campaign for the whole country, but really focused on a city or even a region within the country. And out of this traffic, we were able to generate roughly 100 conversions already in the first 2 weeks. So that was pretty exciting, and that led us to expand the campaigns forward. Now, on the planning side, we found it also very interesting to work with the Pinterest audiences and the audience insights, I should say. What Pinterest is providing here for advertisers is quite interesting and quite unique, I should say. So if you take a look at the Audience Insights tab within your management panel, you will find different categories such as health, food and drinks, education, event planning, gardening, quotes, and many, many other topics. And then next to that, you find two important columns. So next to each of the categories. One is called affinity, and affinity basically means what is the interest of the audience in this particular topic. And the other one is the percentage of the audience. So for example, you find that, or we found that in our particular case, that health was an audience with a very high affinity. So it has an affinity index of 2.3. And about 56% of the audience falls into that category, which means that 56% of the audience that we generated have a high affinity to the health topic. But you can actually go beyond that and drill down into the health topic. And there we found that nutrition, diet, healthy food, etc., these were the top categories. So based on that, we were very encouraged that we would find a suitable audience and have a good match between the audience and what the client actually was looking for. Some of the statistics I want to report on also. Again, this is something that you can also see on the presentation slide and in the video, but just will highlight a couple of insights. First of all, the engagement rate. Engagement rate basically means the ratio of the audience interactions with the content relative to the overall impressions. That metric was fairly low, or let's say normal, of about 2%, right? So after 2 weeks, we had 130,000 impressions, and the engagement rate was about 2%. That is not so much, but it's very comparable to other platforms, especially when you're starting new campaigns. On the efficiency and return side, we found that we saw a cost per click of 67 euro cents. That's very efficient, I would say, and the cost per acquisition was around 4 euro. And that is an interesting metric. You can have different views if that's high or low, but I always hold it against the revenue that is generated for the client. So if, for example, the client is generating somewhere around 50 euros per sign up, then that's actually a fairly good ratio to have. Also, the click-through rates from Pinterest to the website were about 16% right out of the gate, and I thought that's quite interesting. Now, of course, you need to start with the right basics. That means having the right combination of mobile-friendly creative. So the pin design needs to be very mobile-friendly, and simple things such as font size. It has to be of very good quality. And a good idea here is to follow the guidance that Pinterest is giving about creative best practices. But also it doesn't stop there. You need to, of course, make the mobile page, the landing page, super friendly, and it has to resemble what the users have seen on the pins, for example. That's for sure. An insight about mobile user engagement. Mobile is really the predominant audience there, and it's about 6 to 10 times higher than other device categories such as desktop PCs or tablet PCs. And the engagement rate is also higher on the mobile phone. So that again underscores how it is important to create mobile-friendly content. When we zoomed in on the statistics of individual Pinterest ads, we found metrics such as the close-up rate, and that basically means that the viewer is actually zooming in and sees a full screen version of the pin. And so that close-up rate was around 2%. And then out of that, we generated a number of link clicks, which again goes to the website. One metric that I found particularly interesting is the ratio, what I call the click to close-up ratio. And basically what that does, it tells you how suitable the pins are to entice the user to click and study further what is behind the pin. So visiting the website or watching the content that is behind the pin. And that's a metric that I think is quite useful, and you can calculate that fairly easy. Now, in our case, we found a click-to-close-up ratio of around 16% on the better performing pins. And that, again, was just out of the gate without much optimization or testing. So the key insights from that study was, first of all, the demand can be surfaced very quickly and efficiently. And I should say here also that if you start from scratch with Pinterest, you don't have to wait until you have built up an audience. Using Pinterest advertising can help you create an audience very efficiently and very quickly. And with that audience, then you can continue to work with more conversion-focused campaigns or retargeting campaigns and so on. There's probably more room to optimize such campaigns further, which we actually did. So we tried out different forms of advertisements, including video-based advertisements and swipeable content, and that seems to perform actually even better. The pins which have rich data, they tend to convert higher, and key, of course, is mobile-friendly pins. Now, when we conducted this study, we found different capabilities in Pinterest than we have today. At that time, the audience duration was set to a fixed number of 1 month, and now you can basically scale that between 1 month and I believe 540 days is the maximum. And you have to play with that a little bit, because it really depends on if you want to target an audience which had a recent interaction with your content, or if it doesn't matter and you can target or retarget customers who have engaged with your audience, let's say a year ago. So that really depends on the purpose of the campaign that you are looking for. Okay, I think that's it. A quick walkthrough through the key insights. One word about local marketing. That was also an interesting topic. Pinterest at that time didn't have a way to target customers locally, so we had to invent a workaround to come up with more local focused content. But meanwhile, you can actually target down to a zip code level. So that is quite interesting, because here you can be more precise, especially when you're working with clients that have, let's say, more a local focus. Or if you are a brand and you say you have several outlets or retail outlets and you want to target customers specifically in the vicinity of these retail outlets, for example. So many opportunities. And again, if you have further questions, send us a message via the Anchor app on the website, or send an email to us, and I'll be happy to include it in upcoming Q&As or on the website Q&A. As always, I wish you good luck and stay healthy and productive, and I see you soon. When you are looking for inspiration and help with your digital marketing and growth initiatives, please check out our digital marketing agency, WITTIGONIA Digital. We provide a range of support from strategy to implementation tactics and optimization of digital marketing campaigns. From managed services to workshops and compact learning modules, our work supports you and your team. Discover more at wittigonia.com. Thank you for listening. I hope you find this episode interesting and helpful. Please rate and share this episode with your team, colleagues, and friends. You can find links to more information in the show notes of this episode.